Chapter 2. The day Dad told me he wanted to apply for a job as a theme park manager in Arizona, I thought it was quite possible aliens had taken over his brain. Either aliens or the government. I knew from my great-grandma that the government was capable of dreadful things. She was always saying stuff like, "If the public only knew what the government was up to, there'd be a revolution," and pumping her spotted, wrinkled fist in the air. I wasn't completely sure why an 86-year-old woman who lived in a trailer in Kansas was the only person privy to this top-secret information. But she clearly was. So I wouldn't put it past the government to insert some kind of mind control chip into Dad's brain and force him to run a crumbling theme park in the desert. My parents discussed it with me one night over a dinner of buttered noodles. My favorite meal. Oh man, I just realized they deliberately buttered me up with buttered noodles. So I got an email from a guy by the name Joe Kavanaugh, Dad said over his noodles. He owns a place called Stagecoach Pass. "What's that?" I asked, slurping up a noodle. "It's this Western-themed amusement park in Arizona. I guess he found my resume on one of the job sites where I posted it. Anyways, he invited me to apply for a position of general manager at the park." "He must have been impressed with your resume, Mr. Big-Time Restaurant Manager," Mom said. "Well," said Dad, "I'm not sure how managing a restaurant relates to managing an entire theme park. But I guess a huge part of their business is the steakhouse there. So that's probably why he contacted me." "Are you going to apply?" I asked. "It does sound quite interesting," said Dad. I scowled. "Arizona is really far away." "Don't forget you were born there, Sheebs," said Dad. "We spent a lot of time there during your adoption, and we really liked it. We even thought it might be a great place to retire one day. The winter was beautiful, warm and sunny, and I'm sick of the icy winters." "What's summer like there?" I asked. Mom grimaced. "I heard it's kind of like the surface of the sun." "It could be an exciting adventure," Dad waggled his eyebrows at me. "Swimming and soccer all year long." I glared at my noodles. "I don't think I want to play soccer on the surface of the sun." "Come on," said Dad. "You're such a pro, you could play soccer anywhere." "Stop trying to entice me," I said. "You haven't even applied yet." "Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to." On the one hand, I thought of leaving Cactus, the only home I could ever remember, sounded worse than anything. On the other, Dad had lost his job nearly 6 months later when the restaurant he'd been managing went out of business. He really needed this. "It's okay with me," I mumbled, feeling like I might cry. Dad applied, and then he and Mom were invited to go to Arizona for an interview and check the place out. And then they were invited to stay and run the theme park together. Turns out it was more of a 2-person job. And so we sold off a ton of our furniture and donated the junk we didn't really need and packed the rest of our belongings into a giant pod that would magically appear in Kansas and magically reappear in Arizona a week later. We drove our old car over 1,000 miles westward across the country, praying the entire time we wouldn't break down. We managed to make it in one single long day without stopping at a hotel until we got to Phoenix. By the time we arrived, Dad's eyes looked like an atomic fireball, and Mom's hair looked like she'd taken a spin in Hairspray Cyclone. Earlier the next morning, we drove by the covered wagon with the Stagecoach Pass printed on it in large brown block letters, and I saw the park for the first time. Then I knew for sure the government and mind control chips were involved.